I know. That's fine. I don't care.
Hi, Tom.
Good evening.
Hey,
Good
Tom.
afternoon.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome, Tom.
Welcome to the November 24th, 2020 meeting of the Town Council Charter Review Committee. In accordance with Massachusetts general law, this meeting is being videotaped and audio recorded, as well as being remotely broadcasted via Zoom webinar. If there is anyone in our viewing audience who is taping this meeting, would you please announce yourself? Hearing and seeing none, our first order of business is who would love to take the minutes?
I think I'm up.
Okay, Tom, thank you.
Yep.
We have minutes of the meeting of November 17th, 2020 for approval. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Jeff,
Second.
motion, and second by Marilyn. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Phil Adams,
Yes.
Larry Levine, yes. William Fonseca,
Yes.
Marilyn Richards,
Yes.
Jeff Bosworth,
Yes.
Tom Christensen,
Yes.
and Ralph Page.
Yes.
Good. Okay. So today we are discussing input and suggestions we got from citizens of the town. And I didn't know how and in what order we wanted to do them. So I merely put them in the date we first got suggestions from each person. And the first date I see is June 30th, suggestions and comments made by Pat Henry. I guess I need guidance here. Jeannie, do you think I need to read every word of the suggestions, or can we enter it into the record and then each paragraph he has just discuss what his suggestion is, or I can recite what he has submitted?
I don't think you need to read the whole thing. I think you'll end up doing it by addressing each one anyway,
Okay,
correct?
I think so.
Pretty
Yep.
much.
Yeah, so.
All right, so his first comment begins with page 3 of our town charter, section 7. And that is the definitional section. And it goes back to an item that we have long discussed and have put on the back burner. And it's the definition of full council. And the definition is stated in the charter shall mean the entire authorized complement of the town council, notwithstanding any vacancy which might exist. I would interpret that would mean 7 spots, people.
Mhm.
And the question is, in his suggestion, he asked, does it refer to 7 and no fewer councils? Or should it mean all council positions which are currently filled? In other words, if you had a vacancy for whatever reason, would you still base your requirements under different portions of the charter on 7 members? So I put it out there. Yes, Miss Marilyn.
But the definition already eliminates the issue of a vacancy that might exist. It's a full council that shall mean the entire authorized complement of the town council, notwithstanding any vacancy which might exist. So it's got to be 7.
I agree.
Okay.
But I guess the question is, after we've discussed all the articles within the charter. Is there any suggestion to change that?
I'm not in favor of that. My opinion.
Okay, other views? Yes, Tom?
Would it make sense to, I know we put a little tab on everywhere that it was mentioned.
Uh-huh.
Would it make sense to put all those in one big group and find out if the definition would sway those sections one way or the other, or not allow those sections to take place? If it requires 7 people and there's not, then what happens? You just can't do anything until that spot's filled?
Well, let's use an example.
Okay.
Say you had a zoning bylaw, as they do in front of them now, and you had a vacancy of 6. The state law requires a 2/3 approval. 2/3 of 7 is 5, I think.
That's right.
So even if you had a vacancy and you only had 6 town councilors, you would need 5 for approval
Right.
based on the definition now.
That's correct.
Okay.
So
I was going to
I don't know
refer
if
to,
that's just one example.
Right.
Well,
Go ahead, Bill.
I was just going to refer, there's a few places in the charter where it mentions supermajority.
Mhm,
Okay, so that number, to Larry's point, would be the same.
Mhm, mhm.
That's correct.
And I know that when the council reorganizes after an election, after, the start of a new fiscal year, they won't reorganize unless they have a full council present.
So I don't know if Pat Henry's question, the way he phrases it, is whether that definition in section 7, page 3, he wanted to know, does it refer to 7 and no fewer counselors? I'm not a lawyer, but it seems to say 7.
I agree.
Ralph?
So Larry, I was the one that set up, when we were going through the charter, the reason this language was specifically chosen was in case one person had quit or whatever, and that there was only 6 members, that at that particular time, 6 would have been the full complement. That would have been the full council because there wasn't 7 members. And again, I'm not an English major. I read that as saying that if there's only 6 people that are on the council at that particular time, then that's a full council.
That's the way I interpret it.
No.
That's how I read it too.
The word notwithstanding is the key word in that last line
Right.
that exempts
The vacancy.
the vacancy. So that's why it was put in there.
Mhm.
So that because if you recall the conversation, we said, well, the council can't stop acting because there's a vacancy. They have to continue to do their business. So that's why it was written the way it was, to Ralph's point.
And again, this isn't if someone's absent or not there one evening.
Right.
This is if there is only 6 counselors at that time, then 6 would be a full council.
How do you interpret the words authorized complement?
Elected or appointed. They're authorized. It's not just somebody off the street.
Thank you.
So the few of you still think that it might refer to less than 7.
If
With the wording entire authorized complement, and then including the wording notwithstanding.
in other words, the way I read this, the full
Yeah.
complement authorized, if you have 5 people that are elected and you have 2 vacancies on the council, you still have a full council.
No.
I think it should be reworded so it's more easily understandable.
Yeah,
I agree with
mean,
that.
The solution is to, instead of saying the full council shall mean 7 councilors.
Right.
I mean,
I disagree
Yeah.
with
7 seats.
Well,
It's like a quorum, it's 7 seats. It's not
No.
what physical bodies are in the seats, right?
No, I disagree with that.
okay,
The reason I disagree with it is, again, if, let's say, you have one counselor that resigns, that position is not filled or anything at this particular time, and you have to take a vote, then 6 people are the full complement at that particular time of the council.
but why then would you put that notwithstanding clause in?
Right.
If that is the correct interpretation? And I cannot recall the rationale behind that of the commission. Ralph or Bill, I don't recall.
I thought it
But
was just so that they could continue to perform their duties.
But Ralph, to play devil's advocate, if that was the case, in agreeing with your argument, you wouldn't have that notwithstanding clause at the end.
Mhm, mhm.
Unless the vacancy means someone's not there that evening. They're vacant, they're absent from the meeting.
No, I don't interpret vacancy meaning that. Vacancy is a vacancy due to resignation or whatever.
Yeah.
It's outlined somewhere, isn't it?
But even if someone was absent and we took our zoning amendment, you would still need 5, well,
Yeah, you
you
would.
would still need 5 people, even if
Yeah.
someone was absent.
That's
Right.
Right.
correct.
Vacancy is described, it's
Yes.
next to the last in the definitions.
It's a
Right.
permanent.
Permanent absence.
Right.
And we were gonna we tabled that because we said it was vague.
What did we
Now
say?
it came up again.
That's what my note says.
Right.
Right. The word vacancy,
Oh,
Right, the
Yeah.
definition.
yes, that will come up, I believe, with someone's comments somewhere.
And so isn't the temporary absence. I have that same note. It's vague, so table it. So it's all kind of connected.
Yeah.
I mean, for argument's sake, we can table it again and come back to it because we don't know what's contained in the other comments.
If,
If there's anything else that refers to it.
Well,
We can.
Pat also talks about temporary absence. in his
Right.
comments.
can I ask a question? I can only speak to the amount of time I've been serving on the council. Ralph's been on a little longer. Jeannie, you've been in place a lot longer, either as an assistant town clerk or the clerk. Has there been any problem with this definition in any action of the council with respect to how they voted or how they handled something if they weren't?
Not that I recall, no.
The only thing I recall is when they reorganized, and it makes sense to have the full council there.
Mhm.
But other than that, I was just curious.
Okay.
Personally, I don't
think-
have
Go ahead,
a
Jeff.
problem with, personally, I don't have a problem with any of those 3 the way they're written. To me,
Okay.
they're pretty clear.
You're talking about the full council definition.
And the temporary and the vacancy.
and- Okay. So noted.
Larry, instead
Yeah.
of kicking this can down the road, why don't we just do as you suggested, have a vote on making the council 7 full members? And let's go forward. I mean, we've discussed this, I think, long enough. I think we know everyone's position on whether we should have 7, 6, what the interpretation is. I mean, I don't know how long it takes to fill a vacancy. I don't think it takes that long to find someone that's going to replace that seventh or sixth or fifth person.
Well,
So
it does take a little while because the council has to advertise somehow that there's a vacancy, and people have to submit names, and then they have to be.
We're talking, what, 60 days,
30 days.
30 days?
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
which
I
would
think
be
we've
one
had,
meeting.
yeah, so we're talking 30 days here. I mean, I think, we're really kicking this down the road a little bit too long, myself.
All right, Phil, let's hear a motion.
Well, I think what you said is right. The word full council shall mean 7 members of the town council. Get the 7 in there, and now we know what a full council is. It's 7 positions.
Yeah, but
Or 7 slots, whatever you want to call it.
I'll second for discussion.
Is there a second? Yes, Bill?
I'll second for discussion.
Okay. Let me just look at something. Yeah, it is members. Okay. All right, discussion, please.
again, it goes back to what Ralph says. If you have something before the council that needs to be voted on tonight, and you have a vacancy, in other words, you have a position on the council that is not filled, period. Not by temporary absent or whatever. It's a permanent vacancy,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Right.
But now you're only 6 members. Does that mean you can't vote until because if you put it as full council means 7, that means you can't vote unless you have 7 people there. So you'll have to postpone whatever you need to do until you have that person on board.
I don't
That's why
think
I think
that's,
the way
I don't
it's
think
written-
that's accurate.
Yeah, the only thing in the charter that requires 7 people is the vote of the council when they reorganize, I believe. I don't think it's for any other issue.
If you go to page 6
Yeah.
of the charter, and you're gonna look at 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th paragraph of section 4. And let me read that. A majority of the full council shall constitute a quorum for the purpose of conducting business. So you'd have to have, if you go by that, you'd have to have 4 members present to conduct business. And then whatever the number is, unless there's a special requirement, you'd have to have 4 members voting in favor of any motion. There are exceptions, zoning bylaws, and some other past payment of past debts, etc. So, does that help? Jeff, does that help you?
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Further discussion? Yes, Tom.
Does I guess again, not an English major, but it just like adding the word 7 feels like it just muddies it up even more.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, the sentence is sort of fine, I guess. I don't.
Tom, why do you think it's going to muddy it up? What is the reason for that?
Because if you're saying it that there has to be 7 and there's a vacancy, then there's not 7, there's only 6.
Yeah, but we're talking about what the council starts with, not necessarily what they have. So if you start with 7 people, you can't have 8 people on the council. You can't have 9 people on the council. So you have to put a number. And now if there's a vacancy, there's a part in the charter that allows to fill that.
Well, right. So the council, as it's defined in length in Article 2, says that it consists of 7 members. That's already there. Now we're trying to get to what full council means in every spot that it appears in the charter.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So I
It
mean,
also, go ahead.
So if I may, Larry?
Yes,
think
Ralph.
I think what we have to understand is we're in definitions, Tom, and under definition of full council, what they're suggesting is a full council will be 7 members. And that way
Right.
there, anytime the words full council comes up, you go back to the definition and it means all 7 members.
except for if there's not.
Say it
No,
again. Say it
no,
again,
that's
Tom.
what they want to change it to. Is a
But that's
full
what-
council will have to be 7 members. If there's a vacancy, you don't have a full council until after that vacancy's been filled.
That's okay. So that was the discussion. That's what I thought I was interpreting the motion to be. I just wanted to double check.
Well, I may not agree with changing the language because shall mean the entire authorized complement of the town council. And then in Article 2, Section 1, it defines what the body of the town is, the town council consisting of 7 members. I don't know how much clearer you can get. And I don't know if we've never had a problem, it appears, why we would change the language. But that's just one view.
There's also reference to full council on page 9, Article 3, Section 1. The town council shall appoint by a majority vote of the full council a town manager.
That would be 4. So the full councils, you start with 7, majority
Yeah.
of that would be 4.
So if there's only 6 sitting with a vacancy,
I still think it's 4.
yeah.
It is 4.
It is 4.
But if there were 5, I mean, yeah, I think you have to look at every,
But
it'd
it's
be 3. There's still 4, still
it's still
4.
4.
If the full council is 7.
That's right.
Right, and if you only had 4 people show up for members,
Has-
council members, you would need all of them to vote in
4,
favor
right,
of a
right.
normal motion.
Right.
Correct.
So I don't know, people. I understand changing to 7, but I don't know why. Ralph, have we swayed you?
Well,
I think the language is good the way it's written. I
Yeah.
don't have any issues with it.
I really don't either.
No, I don't either.
And basically, if you look at that definition, but then you go down to Article 2, like Jeannie said, Section 1, then it states what the town council consists of 7 members. It's telling you there what it is.
Right.
But it doesn't say full council. It says the town council consisting of 7 members. We're
Mhm.
talking about the full council. I think there's a difference.
Why? Tell me.
I don't see it.
Well, I think it's there for the reason of exactly what Ralph brought up.
Yeah.
He's saying that if you have 6, that's a full council. I disagree with that. I think in order to have a full council, you have to have 7. And therefore, to get rid of that difference, we should put it in there that 7 is the full council, so that someone wouldn't come up with the same question that Ralph came up with 2, 3, 5 years down the road. We should clarify it now, or at least make a suggestion to the town council to look at that and change it.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any other discussion?
Could Tom please read the motion again?
Oh, geez, Marilyn.
Tom didn't make the motion,
Oh, I thought,
but he can read it. Right, Tom?
How's he gonna make?
See, now you caught me. See, I watched the video after and right at the minute.
I
Gotcha.
did the same thing. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I thought Phil, I think, and I don't want to put words in Phil's, I think the motion read that full council definition should read the words full council shall mean 7 members of the town council, notwithstanding any vacancy which might exist. Correct, Phil?
Correct.
Okay.
So
Yes.
Larry,
Yes, Ralph?
why would we add notwithstanding any vacancy that might exist and all? Why wouldn't you just say the full council is 7 members?
Exactly.
I mean, if you're gonna try and clarify this and you want
Yes.
the full council to be 7 members, it should
Right.
read full council. The full council shall be a complement of 7 members.
I don't think you read the definitional section in its own sphere. I think you have to go to the town council, very first sentence under Article 2. And I don't want to say this is written by a lawyer, but what is authorized under Article 2 is 7 members. And the notwithstanding in the definition was put in to emphasize that everything where it says full council within the charter means the 7, even if there's a vacancy of some sort. It's just for emphasis. So no one is confused like we're hearing, where if there was someone either absent or a permanent, they left to go to move to another state, it's still going to be based on the 7. Yes, Tom?
So what does entire authorized complement mean?
I think it means what's stated in the first sentence of Article 2.
7.
7.
That's what's
Yeah.
authorized.
Right.
So okay.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Hi, Andy.
You know, I also think that we all know that there are 7 members on the town council. And this comes up when votes are taking place. And when it mentions the full council, I think that's where you have to step back and say, you start with 7 when you're doing the vote, whatever the vote is. Otherwise, if you only have 5 members present for a council meeting and you're voting to approve the minutes and it's a 3-2 vote, that's okay, because it's the 3 is the majority vote of the 5 that are present. It doesn't require the full council in that action. I think that's why we're all getting a little bit lost in the weeds here. Did I lose you further?
No, I think that was my original point, was we put a tab on every place this was mentioned in the charter. And now we're
Correct.
going to change the definition without going back and checking all those spots where it was listed.
Okay, so would we like to, for next meeting, take out those sections that speak to full council and then determine whether changing it is necessary?
That's just my opinion. I know there's already a motion on the floor. That was my original opinion.
The motion was made by Phil. Will you accept that delay?
No,
What?
no, I think we've been kicking this down the road too long.
Okay,
I
okay.
think we got to make a decision. If we vote it down, then we can, Tom can make a motion to do that. But I just think, no, I mean, to me, it's pretty simple. I think we're making a mountain out of a molehill here, myself, personally. I just think that we should vote on it
Okay,
and move forward.
okay. So we have a motion on the floor to change that definition to eliminate the words "the entire authorized complement" and insert 7 members in place under that definition. All those in favor? Phil Adams,
Yes,
Larry Levine, no. Bill Fonseca?
No.
Andy has arrived, and therefore Marilyn would normally be an alternate, but I'm going to make a ruling that since Marilyn was here for the whole discussion, for this particular one, you'll vote, Marilyn.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I was gonna say, I would abstain because I got here too late and wasn't part of the
Okay.
discussion. So yeah, no, good call.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Jeff,
No.
Ralph,
No.
Tom,
No.
1, 2. So did it was defeated 2 to 5?
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So now we're back to the definition as is. Do I hear any other motions? All right, seeing and hearing none, so I will reply that there's no action to change it.
So we're leaving the words as originally printed.
Correctamundo.
Yes.
Okay.
And to answer his question, do I have the ability, when we respond, to tell him it's our interpretation of 7? No one's opening their mouth. Tom?
I guess I'll just say again, I just want to go through the charter everywhere it says full council. We very well may change the definition.
Get her out of
All
here.
right. How about if Tom Christensen, before our next meeting, please go through the charter where we had mentioned, and please analyze and let us know if you think we've made a mistake and we should reconsider what we just did.
That sounds
Okay?
good. Yeah, you got it.
I mean, I have them marked as well.
I have them all
I'll
marked.
look as well.
I have them all
okay.
marked.
Okay. All right, his next suggestion is on page 4, under referendum measure. He would ask that it be, the title changed to referendum petition. And it's a petition submitted under the referendum procedures of this charter to protect a measure adopted by the town council. Comments, questions, suggestions? Hearing up, Ralph, you
Larry,
got it.
what he's talking about is a petition that was initially submitted and that the voters are going to vote against. So the referendum measure. So once the council takes it in place, it becomes a measure, right? So if a petition goes forwards, the
Yep.
council votes on it, then that petition is no longer a petition, it becomes a measure or a bylaw. And then the citizens have the right to repeal it or vote against it.
That's
Well-
correct. So your point,
I'm just trying to figure out if that's the correct place to put switch referendum measure to petition or not.
I don't know. Bill?
Bill was first.
This is talking about an action of the council that the voters don't necessarily agree with. I'm not even sure if petition belongs in here.
Well, under the wording, under the referendum procedure, there has to be a petition brought by voters.
Right, but it's identifying that is protested by the voters under the referendum procedures.
Right.
That's where the petition belongs. I think this wording is okay.
The wording in the charter or his suggestion?
No, the wording in the charter, because it's talking about the voters protesting a measure voted on by the council.
Uh-huh. Okay. And it's not just the town council, it would be school committee as well.
Right.
All right. Any other comments or suggestions? Yes, Jeannie?
I agree with Ralph because I think petition would be too confusing with the initiative petitions earlier in the definitions. So I think referendum measure would be better. So I think it's good the way it is.
Okay.
You see initiative petition in there?
Yes.
So
All right. Any other comments?
I think it
Okay,
should stay
so-
the same.
That's what I'm seeing and hearing.
Right, no action.
Okay. His third comment is on temporary absence, and he's suggesting in the definition that the.
Can't hear you, Larry.
I'm sorry. Removing the word intends and substituting the words has publicly expressed his, or he put his intention. Comments, questions? Yes, Bill.
I think it should stay the way it's written, because if somebody's out for surgery, you don't need to express your intention of coming back. If you're going to miss a meeting because you just got out for, you just had surgery or something.
Exactly.
Okay, I don't see where, I have to publicly express my intention that I'm going to be back at the next meeting.
Anyone else?
I think it should stay the same.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, seeing none, no action on that request. His next one is on page 4, town bulletin boards, suggesting a direct reference to online bulletin boards as well. The charter gives the town council the authority to do that on their own.
Yes, it does.
All right, so, or am I missing something?
Oh, the last part of the definition says, as may be designated by the town council.
Yeah,
That says it.
okay, so if they decide, they can decide.
Yep.
All right, so I'm hearing no action on that. His next suggestion is compensation on page 5, section 1. And it's compensation for town council members shall be determined by a vote of the full council positions that are then filled and shall be submitted as part of the annual town budget. Comments, suggestions, questions?
Well, there's another full council you can add, Tom.
yeah, right.
Yeah, so Tom, this would be, or then filled. So this would change the definition.
Right.
Keep that in your bonnet.
It's getting full.
Any other discussion, questions, comments? So no action there. The next one is on town clerk. About town clerk shall serve, this is the suggestion, shall serve as the informal parliamentarian to the presiding officer at council meeting. I'm interested in how everyone feels about that.
What is that exactly does that entail?
Well, let's give an example. And Jeannie, pipe in when you're ready.
Yeah.
All right, so the,
No action.
Yeah.
and the town council recently had a matter like this, where a public hearing portion of a meeting, say it was a liquor license,
Mhm.
the public hearing portion can be opened by the president of the town council on his own.
Mhm.
However, the public hearing section of the public meeting has to be done by a roll call vote. So what this is saying is if the president of the council or whomever's acting in that role for that evening forgets to do a roll call vote, Jeannie could, or the town clerk could raise his or her hand and remind the president
Mhm.
that this would be by roll call vote to close the public hearing.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know, but as in the past, especially chairman of different elected boards became schooled and actually went to, I know some classes on how to run a meeting. And I'm surprised this is even coming up.
I think it's not appropriate for the town clerk to limit discussions. I think that's up to the chair of the
Yeah.
council to run the
Yeah.
meeting. Calls to move vote, I think I have at times, interrupted or through the chair, the appropriate courses of action, but I think to spell it out like this is not appropriate.
Seems like it can put the person who is the town clerk in a awkward position.
Yeah, and sometimes one of the other counselors will say, did we get a second or something like that? So I don't know if it's appropriate to spell it out like that. I think it's understood that as clerk of the council,
Mhm.
you assist, but to limit discussions and timing, I don't think that's my role, the clerk's
Yeah, it
role.
doesn't seem right to me either.
And then to try to pick which ones are the clerk's role and which ones aren't. I would
That'd put you in
suggest
a,
leaving it the way it is.
Yes,
that would
Ralph.
put you in a very bad position.
And you have some presidents that are stronger and some that are loose. You have different personalities.
Right.
Mhm. Ralph, I saw your hand.
So I don't see that as being Pat's suggestion. I see that as the president can refer to the clerk in these matters, asking about parliamentary procedures as informal parliamentary to the presiding officer at council meetings. In other words, if the president's not sure on the process, that he can turn to the clerk and say, is this the proper procedure? And that the clerk is supposed to be the parliamentarian and say, we have to vote on this motion before this one, and then you can do this or that.
But
Well, then-
That's what he
the
means.
president could do that right now.
Right.
Why do you insert this in a charter? Yes, Bill.
I agree with what Jeannie said. It doesn't belong here. If somebody says, hey, can we get an opinion on this? Then they call her, then they ask her. But this is like, in my mind, this is very dangerous about limiting discussions and calling for votes. I mean, that's not the role of a town clerk. I'm sorry. I like the language written the way it is.
Any other comments? And so I'm going to say no action on that request. The next one is on page 5 under vacancies. That is section 3. And that's the last paragraph. And he's suggesting that any appointments to fill vacancies shall be for the remainder of the fiscal year. I believe the person appointed by the council shall have to run for election at the very earliest opportunity.
That's not the way the charter reads.
Right.
It's talking about the president and the vice president position, right? Not the vacancy on the council itself.
Right.
It's talking
Right.
about filling those two positions.
Right.
Yeah,
Believe
So-
it goes to the same term. So if there's a vacancy in the president in, let's say, September, the person that fills that only goes till the next July when the council votes again.
Right.
That's the way
Yeah.
the charter's written, and I believe that's what he wants.
Yeah, that's when they reorganize,
Right.
Well, he's talking about
Yeah.
fiscal year.
which is the same.
The same-
Yeah,
Same.
but I wouldn't put it in there.
But he's stating all appointments,
Right, right.
where this section is just dealing with the president and vice president.
Yeah,
correct.
Oh, I see what he's, okay.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
act.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No action.
All right, anyone other than no action? Okay. Next one is on page 5, section 4, council procedures. In the second paragraph, following the word further. Should be moved to a separate paragraph. So because it's confusing, it appears that it's limiting to special meetings only.
Right.
I agree with this.
I do
Yes.
So,
Yeah, it seems to make it cleaner.
so if that is the case, do I hear a motion to move following the word, beginning with the word further, the last sentence, to a new paragraph?
I think we
So
can
moved.
remove the word further as well. If it's going to be a new paragraph.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
Right.
Who said that?
Tom Christensen.
Okay. So, Tom, is that a motion?
Yeah.
All right, I'll recognize, so it'll be removed from that second paragraph, and it'll become the third paragraph, and it'll begin with the word all. And the rest of the sentence remains the same?
So that's not what Pat's actually asking. The very end of his sentence, he's changed. Shall be conducted in accordance with open meeting laws of the Commonwealth.
Well,
And this just says in accordance with such law.
oh,
And I-
okay.
Law is
Okay.
actually the open meeting law.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you revise your motion, Tom, for
I'm
that?
gonna, here, I'll give you a shot, okay? I move to move the last sentence in the second paragraph of section 4 to a new paragraph, remove the word further, and change the last 3 words with such law to open meeting law
With, okay, with.
of
with
the Commonwealth,
open meeting-
of the Commonwealth, however you want to say it.
With, how about with the open meeting law?
The open meeting laws of the Commonwealth.
Yep.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Three
Pick
of
who-
Come
them.
on, Ralph, get
Take
quicker.
your pick, Tom. Discussion? All those in favor, Phil Adams,
Yes,
Larry Levine, yes. Bill Fonseca,
Yes,
sorry, Marilyn.
That's
Jeff Bosworth,
Yes,
Ralph Page,
Yes.
Tom Christensen,
Yes.
Andy Frazier.
Yes.
Okay.
Good catch, Ralph.
Again.
Woo!
Next suggestion is page 6, second paragraph. The second paragraph is talking about a majority of the full authorized council.
Mhm.
Oh. Write it down, Tom.
Yep.
yeah.
You know.
Tom, you got this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Shall be 4 members of the purpose. Comments, questions, suggestions? Seeing none, and based on our earlier discussion with supplemental information from Mr. Christensen, no action on that. Next one is page 6, section 5, 4th paragraph. Whether the council have the power to enforce all liquor laws, or whether enforcement should be an executive or police function.
That's what I had brought up previously.
Say it again?
Okay.
I had brought that up previously too, that the police department was the enforcing agent. But I think we'd all decided that it was okay as is.
I think we'll use liquor licenses as an example. The licensing authority in the town now is, under the charter, would be the town council.
Mhm.
The town council can appoint either an enforcement or investigative arm within the town, like the police department,
Right.
and suggest ways of determining whether there are violations under the liquor license. The ultimate authority remains with the town council, and that's the way it's been conducted in the past.
I think when I saw the word enforce, I remember a motion that was approved by the council specifically
So what? Say it again.
to name the police department the enforcing agent.
Really? Enforcement of what?
Liquor license violations.
Well, let me quiz you. If there's a violation under the statute, who conducts the public hearing about any discipline?
We haven't
Suspension
had
or-
one.
What?
We have reference to a hearing that could ensue from a violation, but one hasn't happened yet. Who's on the
Oh.
licensing commission? Anybody?
I think you've
Licensing
got to
committee?
ask, and it's got our town's lawyer. I think the only ones that can hold those hearings are the licensing commission, which is the town council.
I think they would hold them. Yeah,
Right.
the town council would,
I
right?
think like the police department could investigate, could
Right.
do, and Phil, what's it called when you
So-
put plain clothes in there to determine?
Undercover?
Yeah.
Sting
sting
operations,
operation.
and then they make a recommendation to the town council.
Well, I don't think they make a recommendation. I think they report the facts that they covered by
Right.
being in that sting. So they
So-
report the facts, and then the town council reviews the facts and sees if there's a violation.
So Larry, I
I'm
believe
sorry.
what the council did, Larry, is we made the police department agents
Uh-huh.
of the liquor licensing authority so
Uh-huh.
that they could go in and look at things and report back to us. So
Good.
that
Right.
council then could take enforcement action as needed. Because,
So
Right,
then the
so-
council would be the enforcing.
right,
Right,
Okay.
right. So I don't know that you could designate them as your agents to do investigations, et cetera.
right.
But enforcement, I think, has to remain with town council.
Okay.
Jeff, how are we doing on time?
4 minutes.
Okay.
So are we leaving this the way it is?
Anyone object to that?
No.
No,
Okay,
Nope.
we'll do one more. Page 6 bylaws. That should be totally rewritten. As it stands, it is horribly complex, cumbersome, and redundant. Bylaws proposals are kicked back and forth between the planning board and
Does he mean
public
page
hearings.
7?
Well, it starts on 6 and then goes to
Starts on
7, I think.
Yeah, it
Okay.
goes a long way.
Okay.
I agree.
Who said that?
I said that. So currently,
I-
right now, Larry, is
Yep.
if the planning board wants to write a bylaw to,
Mhm.
we're going to use solar fields for lack of a better example.
Mhm.
They have to come to the town council and they have to say, we would like to write a bylaw with regards to solar farms. The
Uh-huh.
council says, oh, I think that's a good idea. Then it goes, we kick it back to the planning board. They write it, they hold a public hearing on it. Then it comes back to the town council for another vote.
Mhm.
If they want to write a bylaw, they should be able to write one and submit it to the council instead of it going back and forth between the two, getting permission to write one.
Well, I don't know that they need permission. Perhaps they're just running it by town council. But then they have to abide by the state statute. And any zoning bylaw requires a public hearing and a recommendation to the town legislative body, formerly the town meeting, now the town council.
Right.
Pat is talking about more other ones, subcommittees going over, and then the subcommittees are different ones that may review things and the time involved. But that process, the subcommittees, is based on what the council has, how they decided to have things heard. I don't think the charter requires it going before a subcommittee.
No.
No, it was the town council that formed the planning subcommittee to do their legwork,
Mhm.
which
So-
was never specified in the charter, but it doesn't have to be.
And the other thing I've seen a suggestion, which is a valid point, instead of having go to one subcommittee, they come back to the town council, and then it goes to a different subcommittee or the planning board or someone. It could all be done simultaneously. And that would be just up to the town council to make those decisions.
I think we talked about this when we wrote it, when we did the charter.
Yeah.
I seem to recall.
So we're going to end now because I just heard the clock ding or dong, whatever you want to say. And we'll pick it up with Pat's suggestion at our next meeting. Dr. Mackey, same time, same place,
Same time,
4:30.
same place. Yep.
What date is that?
Sorry, that is Tuesday, December 1st, 4:30 PM.
Okay. Everything okay? Everyone okay with that?
perfect.
Yep.
And everyone okay with the way we're doing this? This is taking longer than I thought, but it's still productive, Tom. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Made by
Second.
Jeff, seconded
Second,
by Ralph. All those in favor? Phil Adams,
Yes.
Larry Levine, yes. Bill Fonseca,
Yes.
Jeffrey Bosworth,
Yes.
Ralph Page,
Yes.
Tom Christensen,
Yes.
and Andy Frazier.
Yes.
Thank you, people.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thanksgiving,
Happy
everybody.
holidays. Stay well and stay safe.
See ya.
Thank you.
See ya.